Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Allahumma alimna ma yanfa'na wa anfa'na bima lamtana wa zidna ilman. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is the second part of the discussion that we've started with regards to intimacy and the differences between men and women, and why would men and women reject intimacy, and how, and what's the reason. This is something that a lot of people ask me, why are you talking about these things? Just recently I got a question and I said, well, because it is so important. Because many of the brothers and sisters who are married for the sake of Allah for many years are suffering because they do not understand each other's psychology. Well, they don't even understand their own actually. And that is a huge problem. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in us a fitrah that we need to understand. We find throughout the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, his approach to dealing with people, it was tailor-made. Every person received a specific dose of advice that was custom-made for that person. If we do not understand that there's differences amongst ourselves, between us as genders, and we need to understand that. And these are things that you can study, you can observe, but they're needed for us to understand how could we maximize our relationship and bring the best. Why? With the objective of having a stronger family. If you take it back to the basics, nikah, what's the first thing that happens that's halal in nikah? What is it? To eat cake? No. It is to be intimate. This is what the nikah makes halal, intimacy. I take you back to the famous hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he says, I will be proud of my ummah on the day of judgment because they're numbers. How many they have? Well, you cannot have numbers if you're not intimate. People can talk and interpret and whatever, but it is a fact. You cannot have numbers unless you're intimate. So last time we talked about some of these situations and reasons as to why men and women might reject intimacy. All right? And it causes problems because it breaks families. Intimacy is a beautiful, natural manifestation of love. It is a beautiful, natural manifestation of desire that is halal. Allah has created this desire in us. When you look at the life of the Prophet, yes, some people talk about being celibate and about, leading a life of just zuhud or denouncing this dunya, not rejecting, but divorcing this dunya. But the Prophet ﷺ was very clear. With all due respect to those, mashallah, the people who have written about this and so on. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, An-nikah min sunnati. Nikah is from my sunnah. And whoever goes against this is not from me. And his life and his practical examples of him marrying and his relationships. In some cases that he would visit all his wives in one night. So intimacy is something very important. It's been made dirty by the West. The Western philosophy has made it dirty. Freud, in his theories and psychology, is a psychopath who is sexualizing everything and in a dirty way. So the Muslim Ummah community has now been conditioned by popular media. First with movies, Hollywood, Bollywood, then social media, pornography, all these things. So when it comes to intimacy, you find this kind of self-censorship and self-righteousness where, oh my God, how dare you talk about this? This is aib. And you're like, well, wait a second. There's been books that have been written. For example, there's a book by Ibn Qayyim, the Gardens of the Lovers. And, so many, the Ring of the Dove, and many others, old classics, you can say, from the scholars talking about love, about intimacy, about the beauty of the passion, the Arab poetry, you name it. There's just a lot. Why? But the question is, why have we reached this position where marriages are suffering, people are falling apart, People have desires because they're natural, yet they are too righteous to admit it and to do something about it. And it's a problem. So last time we talked about this. We started with a few things, the difference between the two genders, how they look at things, when a woman feels passionate and whatnot. When does a man feel passionate? And most of the time he does. And why the importance of the hadith about calling the woman to intimacy, and why would a woman reject that when she knows the punishment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Of course, people have twisted things to say about interpretation. There's always an escape when you try to go into interpretation. And just because I want to caution you, and I'm not here backbiting. You can look into the old books that scholars have criticized each other. I'm not a scholar. I'm just saying what scholars say. Don't get caught up in this, or just, well, yeah, but this person said this scholar said this, he interpreted this way, you know better. No, it's not that this scholar interpreted this way and I know better. It's that other scholars who are at that level even more interpreted in a different way, or stuck to the literal way, which is like, life is like that. You don't come and speak in parables. People speak literally, and that's exactly how they did before as well. I believe this is just an escape, and it's not doing us any well. Look around, observe. Is the divorce rate decreasing? Look into the reasons for divorce rate. Is it that I didn't like his smell, or he didn't bring enough money? No, a lot of times like, I hate this person, we're not intimate, he's cheating, I'm cheating, he's addicted to porn, this, that. Yes, there are other issues as well, but look and do a bit of research as to why people fall apart. There's no connection, no spirituality, no emotional, intellectual connection between the two, which is, in the end, it is a form of intimacy, right? There's a comfort zone that you get into when you're intimate, and it allows you to be connected on a emotional level. Women are complaining, men are not emotionally available. Men are complaining, women are not physically available, and. So let us go to a few other points as to why women. Let's go to men now. Why do men reject sometimes intimacy? And yes, it is now a big thing. Now sisters, women are coming to counselors saying, my husband doesn't want to sleep with me. She's like, I want to. I love him. I'm very warm. I need intimacy. And he doesn't want to. He's turning his back. Oh, not today. I'm tired. It used to be like 10 years ago, it would be the other way around. Now men are saying, oh, I'm not, So what are the reasons? Why would a man, who's like usually like the one who initiates intimacy, would want to reject or rejects intimacy? Well, number one, he says, I'm tired. I'm out of shape. Low libido. And that is true. The food that we eat, the environment that we have. We're sitting on a chair in an office, driving. Our schedules are a mess. There's no discipline. So what happens is our body there's so many hormonal changes. There's a clock in our body. Everything is regulated. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created is perfect. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. There's a perfect system in our body. And if we don't facilitate certain activities and a proper environment to nurture that body, then of course it does not function well. It's like sticking a fork into a system, into this laptop. It might still turn off, but there's a shortcut. So the guy says, I'm tired, I'm out of shape. Guys are way out of shape. We see the belly. In some cultures, they take pride. They think that this is good. They're laughing. Yet their wives are suffering. But of course, they're out of being shy and respectful. They're not going to say anything and suffer in silence for years, but they are suffering. And you can tell, what do you know? How do you know, brother? Because they come to counselors. This is not a joke. This is not like, oh yeah, I'm just responding to people's questions. This is something that we do as a professional thing for years. Other counselors, sisters included counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, imams, and so on. This is not like, oh yeah, this is from my mind. Not to mention that we do research. We see the blogs, the communities where people find a way to vent. You'll be shocked. I cannot even tell you. You'll be shocked what people discuss. Because the human being, even if they cannot, they're stuck in, or they want to vent. They want to connect to someone who's experiencing the same thing. So the guy is out of shape, low libido. It doesn't work out. The testosterone levels are very low. So of course he's not going to have desire, right? He's just eating chips and just watching a football match or something, if that is even happening now. Guys are watching now probably soap operas. And then it doesn't work. Of course it's not going to work. Of course he's not going to want to be intimate. And also females are trying to keep their men inside the house all the time, which is against their nature. It is against their nature. They think, I'm going to keep him close to me. No, I don't want him to go play football with his brother, with his friend. No, I don't want him to go to the gym. I don't want him to do this. No, he has to stay at home. And then she's like, I don't know why it's not working. He's not working. He's not functioning properly. I want it. He doesn't want it. And it's like, last time I had it is like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. Allahu Akbar. And then people are like, yeah. So what happens in those 2-3 years? No, brother. Everyone's just like making dhikr and, subhanallah, ya akhi, let's wake up. Let's wake up. Anyway, so that's one. Performance anxiety. Men suffer a lot of stress. Work, this, again, environment. Environment is not conducive to masculinity these days. The system that we're in is not made for men, with all due respect, or not really, but anyway. So they have performance anxiety. It doesn't work. Men have to work. You have to understand. It's not like a woman. A woman is much easier for her, but a man has to be strong, has to work. So performance anxiety, due to stress, to other things, basically, it's not going to work. And it's a lot. And then we have to perform. And then, the woman has to be pleased and this and this. It's all in the mind. So the mind of man also will cause the man to misfire and not work. And that is a problem. And guess who's suffering? He's suffering. His wife's suffering as well. Then, of course, you have the 1 minute man, where he's just kind of like, let me just finish things and then turn around and sleep. And that is also a problem, because again, he might get his pleasure, but she's going to suffer. So women revert to masturbation, pornography, toys, and all this kind of stuff, right? People don't like to talk about these things, but and we're not talking, by the way, our experience as imams, counselors, is not with the non-Muslims. We're talking here about Muslim communities. I'm not even going to say that more than that, because obviously there's a lot. But as I said, you can see some of the discourse amongst the Muslim ummah in some of these places. I'm going to tell you where they are, where they're just venting. And people are saying, oh, this is fake, it's fake. That's the problem. Denial. This is not true, brother. Why are you coming up with these things? Shame on you. Denial. And there's so much. And when you read and when you research and when you hear some of these things, and you're like, my God, I thought I heard it all. I thought I've seen it all. And you're like, man, what? So yes, problem. Man, another thing. Porn burnout. I call it porn burnout. So imagine, guy starts developing feelings and desire at the age of 12, 13. Starts getting erections and so on, wet dreams. And now he's got the ability to get one of these. Parents say, here, just take it, shut up, keep quiet. Sorry for this word, but it is, Give him a phone, let him go on some applications. It is media literacy, isn't it? So the kids from 13 till, mashallah, they get married right now, guys, 29, 30, 35. So let's say 20 years. What is he doing? Spending his time messing around, literally messing around. And then all of a sudden, after 20 years of me, I wake up when I want to, I'm mama's boy, whatever, this and that. I'm used to only myself. I pleasure myself. The mind connects to, the way things work. There's a connection, a reinforcement of pleasure, of you name it, dopamine. And then all of a sudden, after 20 years, the family gets together and says, hey, my son, there's this girl. Yeah, let's do 10 days of party and this and that. Put him in one room. Okay, have a good life. And they're like, the whole life, they're like, son, don't look, son, no, daughter, no, we're not going to talk about this. No, this is not allowed in our culture. This is an embarrassment. And all of a sudden, it's like you bring these two people together and you put them together. Okay, yalla, go ahead. The guy doesn't work. The girl doesn't work because the girls also, women also engage in pornography or masturbation. And it's called a porn burnout, but it hurts men more. So men will reject intimacy. Men will not perform. So one client came to me and was like, my wife doesn't respect me and this and that. And I try to dig, try to get a bit more information. Finally, it was like, well, there's something I admitted. And I was like, what is that? Because so far it wasn't making sense. He says, my marriage night, I just couldn't. I was like, couldn't what? I couldn't. I was like, oh, you couldn't. He's like, and then I was like, why not? He's like, it's been tough, man. I'm 30 and, all this time, the fitna around, I've been watching porn for 20 something years, and what can I do? It's tough and it's not working. And my wife went and told her mom and they laughed at me. And then, now she wants divorce and she's making fun of me. Of course, it's bad. It's very bad. But I'm like, oh man, now I understand why she's not respecting you. You came to me with a problem that your wife don't respect you. And now it changed. There's a lot more to it. So, these are real issues. So porn burnout, it kills men. What do you think they're going to do for 20 years? They're not going to fast every Monday and Thursday, every single day, or fast of Dawood alayhi salam. We should. That's the advice of the Prophet. But a man is ready for intimacy. Their body was created. It's their desires are halal, but they cannot perform in halal because we block everything for them. We make it, the society has made it such. Of course, the non-Muslims, they're already engaging in intimacy since the age of 14, 15. I remember in my grade 9 class, I was 14 and there was 2 girls that were pregnant. And they're younger than me. So they do it, but in the wrong way. Because at that age, they're already ready. We push our kids. And I'll talk about the solutions about this issue of how to deal with this issue in another video. And advice to parents and their communities to wake up. Wake up, please. Please wake up for God's sake and get your heads out of the ground and start providing solutions. What's the point of reminders if brother, do this. Brother, fear this. Brother, we should have this. Patience, sabr, dua. Alhamdulillah, these are all great things. But where's the solutions like the Prophet ﷺ, the Sahaba would give? No, do this. Do that. Let's fix this here. Let's get together to do that. Who can help this one? And where is that in our community? We're so good at talking. Brothers, Allah says this. Brothers, Alhamdulillah. وَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Remind them, for indeed the benefit reminds. But you forget there's not just enough to have a spiritual boost and reminder. You live in this physical world and you need to give practical solutions as the Prophet ﷺ would give. So inshallah, I will address my advice. And I know people are going to hate it. They're like, no, it's not practical. And I would challenge them that it is practical. It's just that they don't want to. They're too comfortable sitting, reclining on the couch as per the hadith and just waiting for things to happen. No. You want to solve something, then get up and start changing things. Stop talking about theory all the time. So, porn burnout. A lot of men will reject intimacy because they're burnt out. Another one is lack of attraction. Some men, there's incompatibility between the man and the woman. And men are very, very... Aesthetics mean a lot to us. And it means to women too. Women say, no, it's about the soul. Then okay, then don't put makeup. Then don't spend so much time. No, but then it's again our fault as men because we have made the standard. I don't think so. I think this is a big debate as to who set the standard for aesthetics in the world and what's beautiful, what's not, what's attractive, what's not. Women compare a lot. Women compare a lot between themselves. There's a lot of jealousy amongst themselves. Standards and fashions change driven by themselves. But there's this it's a very sensitive, there's a sensitivity and blame that's put on men all the time. That's because of men. So that needs to be analyzed. It's not just a black and white thing. But a lot of men will reject women, wives, for intimacy because they're not attracted to them. They married because mama said, okay, this is a good girl. I love her. She's so beautiful. To you, she's beautiful, but to him, she's not. You're a woman and he's a man. He sees beauty in a different way. But because he wanted to please you, he just did it. And all of a sudden now, he's like, man, I'm not really attracted to this woman. I can't really report for, some cases, like the guy didn't consummate the marriage for years. Allahu Akbar. And the woman is sticking around. She's like, I don't know what's wrong. I love him. I want to wash his clothes. But he doesn't want to touch me. And I'm like, okay. And this was a case with the sister. But the sister told her, like, so now you're coming after, I think it was like something ridiculous, like 9 years. SubhanAllah. People still think it's just a joke. All right, let's move on to the girl side. Ladies, women are not comfortable with the environment sometimes. Guys in many cultures will want their wives to move in their parents' basement or in their parents' house. A woman might not feel comfortable. Even you, the guy, might not feel comfortable. You have to take a shower. Like so many people say, I have to take a shower. It's going to be so embarrassing because we're going to make noise. Everyone's going to know what we've done. Who cares, man? You're breaking up your marriage. You think that, this is like, imagine, subhanAllah, Medina or Mecca. There was no walls, no soundproof. I'm not saying A'udhu Billah, people will be like, but people dealt with it. People were able to manage it and still be intimate and not having to let everyone know. And there was no shame in intimacy. That's why the hadith describes some of these things, man. But we are reached a place of shame. We are ashamed of intimacy. What are people gonna... Well, how'd you come? How did your mom and dad make you? Weren't they intimate? I don't wanna dirty the sheets. Another one that I hear from women. Yahi, dirty all the sheets. Ukhti. Get a spare sheet. Buy 10 spare sheets just for intimacy, waterproof, and dirty them, man. SubhanAllah. Like, I don't want to dirty them. Dirty them as much as you want. Enjoy, have fun. And then, I don't know, throw it out. Invest a monthly budget in disposable sheets or something, bed sheets. Buy a small cupboard next to your bed where you just put it there with a lock and no one can get into it. Whatever, man. But yes, the mind will not allow if there's no comfort. If you're thinking about the sheets and the pillows and that there's other people maybe listening to you, or there's no lock on your door, or you're living with your in-laws and you cannot take a shower, well, yeah, it's a problem. And that's why a lot of women don't feel comfortable having intimacy. They're ashamed. Maybe for you as the guy, you're like, yeah, this is my parents, I'm in my house. But for her coming from having to keep up some appearances and manners, it's not easy. It's not easy. Now, lack of attraction on the woman's side as well. Don't think that women are not attracted to men. And a lot of times women, they will fulfill the husband's right. They will marry sometimes a guy that they don't like that much, but later on they get attached to and so on. But when it comes to physical compatibility, women have a standard. What was it? This Chris Brown guy. I think he hit a lady. Right? He's a singer. I was just reading some news. And there was some posts and some comments from women. And it was about 9 women or so. They're saying, they got into, they start replying to each other. And they were saying something like, well, he can hit me every time he wants, or anytime he wants. Or I wouldn't mind if he slaps me. Or I wouldn't mind if he dominates me. Or I wouldn't mind if he gets rough with me. If it's Chris Brown, I wouldn't mind if he would, do this and that. And it was all about violence. And I was thinking about it, I was analyzing, I said, subhanAllah. So it's a big issue a lot of times. And these women, people say they're joking. No, they're not joking. I've seen this before. If a woman is attracted to a guy, she will let him do all kinds of things that a non-attractive guy, or that she doesn't feel attracted to, will not get away with. And there's been even studies on this, where a handsome guy, he can get away with things in front of women, and a non-handsome would not. He would be considered like a weirdo or a freak or something. And the handsome guy gets away with these things. Same thing, if a woman is attracted to a guy physically, and yes, they are big time, it's just that they're better at not showing it, or, kind of. But now it's like changing. A lot of women are just talking whatever. But if she is attracted to him, to the right guy, then she will not only want it, she'll initiate things. She'll not reject. But she's not really attracted. She's doing it only out of service, out of, duty. She will be rejecting it a lot. All right, so that is a problem. That's a point. Why am I saying this? To cast doubt on your relationship right now? No, is because we need some premarital education. We need to allow our children to look also at compatibility when it comes to physical desire and attraction. And not just think, guys want the prettiest girls and their parents have no problem. Yeah, you should get the prettiest girl. But when the girl wants a good looking guy, oh, it's not about that, my darling. It's he's a good man. No, there's a double standard there. And it doesn't work because it's going to hurt you in your marriage. All right? But just, I wanted to reiterate this point. Check. This is a very important point. Very important. Women have a lot of desire. Women do like good-looking guys. And because attraction, intimacy starts here, first and foremost, for a woman and for a man. Intimacy starts here. If this is not connected, if this is not, and it's visual as well. And that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that say to the believing men to lower the gaze, and then says say to the believing women to lower the gaze. Why would women lower the gaze if they have no issue with this stuff? They do. They do check guys out. They do like guys to look in a certain way. Some of them, because they have no adab and no manners and no haya, they express it now in public openly. And some say, no, we don't think like that. But they're harboring those desires inside. And it's out. Like, you don't have to hide anymore. I'm not saying now promote the, I'm so after these hot guys. No, but it's like women should not try to put on this image of no, we're not like this. It's like everyone is like that. It's in the fitrah. It's how you behave with it and how you control yourself that makes a difference. Another reason why she rejects intimacy is that she does not respect him. He's a weak man. A woman is also in love with the concept of a man, who he represents. That's why this whole Chris Brown thing. None of them met him. None of these women who commented in my point that I just made, that it's okay for him to slap me and to give me some beating, a roughing, any day. They were saying, these women, right? Because it's Chris Brown. Because it's him. If it would be any other guy, no. Because, they're in love and infatuated with the concept. He is famous. He is this. He is that. They have respect for him for what he has achieved, even though they might not know it. So a woman, when she doesn't respect the man, when the man is weak, when he doesn't have a construct around him, he doesn't represent something, doesn't have a set of ethics, morals, doesn't have confidence, doesn't have a foundation that he's based on, the woman will find it very hard to be attracted to. And that's where, connecting to the previous point, even if he's good looking, if he's not a full image, she might have problems even then with him and responding to him and being attracted to him. So women, yes, they're attracted to the physical, the look, but they're also attracted to the concept of what he represents and who he is, and makes a huge difference. And if the guy doesn't work on himself, and if he's a weak man, if she has no respect for him, a lot of times she will just refuse intimacy. Now, another issue is hormonal imbalance. Women have this issue. They have so many changes in their body with the period. A lot of guys have no clue about the female hormones, the changes in their body. They have no clue about period. All they're like, it's so dirty and stuff like that. You have no clue. The Prophet ﷺ used to be intimate to an extent, not intercourse, with Aisha when she was on her period. It's disgusting, Men really don't know anything about periods and about women. I know you're like, oh, who do you think you are talking about? Bro, it's about understanding. This is, Eve. And if you don't know what she goes through in her psychology, and then you're like, oh, I don't know why this is happening. You don't know. When you don't know, it's because you have no knowledge of things. All right? But women go through a lot of hormonal imbalances, a lot of low libido. When she's a new mother, just giving birth, what does Allah allow them 40 days of, not being intimate? Because you could technically be intimate if you want to, but it's haram. The hikmah and the reason is for the woman's body to regenerate and, realign. Emotionally, she's got, that's, giving birth is a tough experience, man. And then the guy wants to just come in, of course. There's other things you can do. because the guys will go crazy in 40 days, no doubt. But then that's one of the reasons and the blessings of polygyny and having other wives. That's one of the reasons and the blessings of other forms of intimacy, right? SubhanAllah, and people are like, no. Okay, type, fast for 40 days, Bismillah, go ahead. But understand that the Prophet didn't do that. There was reasons and there was, solutions in every situation. So women have hormonal issues, imbalances. They can go to a doctor. They can take help, inshallah. They can change their diet, exercise, and these things can be adjusted. Last but not least, bad technique. A lot of men and women are programmed, again, their fitrah, to be intimate, to know how to be intimate. It's just in there. But we've been corrupted. Our fitrah is corrupted. So a lot of men have bad technique and the woman will reject it. So we talked about men having lack of attraction, but usually because the man is the deliverer, he can somehow please himself, even though there is lack of performance or bad performance from the woman's side as well. And guys who are more experienced, they will know that. But when it comes to the woman, there's a lot of bad technique that comes on the man's side. Men, because they're not anatomically aware of the woman and her body and so on, it's hard for them to find the right spots. And again, because they think that they can just go through it and just do it and just, and the woman just will like it. No, it's not like that. The woman is not like the men when it comes to this. Even though some women, yes, have a certain way. And it's fine. That's up to them, but not all. And that it's connected to the other side, the other point that I made, the porn issue. Because a lot of men and women will have a preconceived idea of what intimacy should look like based on what they experience for those 20 years that I said till they get married. And then they remember being put in the room after the 10-day party and 20 years of spending time alone, being addicted to pornography, masturbating. Now they're being put into a same room and here you go. And there's trauma. Because what they think that they should do is what they've seen and it's not. And maybe one has seen it and used to it, and the other one never seen it or has never been used to it. People bring sometimes their wives from back home and whatnot, and in a strong environment, protected, and all of a sudden he wants to perform this crazy thing on their marriage night. And I'm the man, I just, I ripped it, bro. Stuff like that, astaghfirullah. And it's trauma. It causes trauma. And the woman not knowing, not having experience, but feeling the pain, feeling the sadness, the anxiety, keeps quiet, cannot talk to anyone, right? Because suffers, all of a sudden commits suicide, leaves, cheats, this, that, I don't know, runs away. So many problems, so many issues. And yes, also women have an understanding now, especially in the West, based on what they've seen in pornography of how a man should perform. And the guy comes on the first night of marriage and he's like not able to perform that way. Maybe he's natural, normal. But she's already in her mind. Remember, intimacy starts in the mind. That mind has been already primed to believe that intimacy is this. And now she's expecting him to do perform a number on her like she's seen before. Total this and total that. And she doesn't get it. He's like, oh, he sucks. He's horrible. I don't like him. So it is a problem. It is a problem on both sides. Rejection of intimacy. These are some of the reasons. There's more. Maybe you guys can put some in the comments, and you can always contact me. But I'm making this series with the intention to reach to some solutions, inshallah, as we are moving forward. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.